welcome to A Year of Career, 52 Practical Answers to Your Questions. I'm Erin Wolfram. I own and operate Career Advantage and Career Advantage Golf, where I help professionals feel more confident and prepared throughout their job search by assisting with resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn profiles, mock interviews, personal websites and portfolios, anything job search related. But each week on this podcast, I answer one question from the public. And this week's question is, how do I navigate a job offer while I'm still interviewing with other companies? And this can be a very tricky situation. It can be very stressful, but first and foremost, I want to say that it is, in a way, a great problem to have. You have an offer, you have other interviews going on, which means you are doing things well. It means that you are wanted by potential employers, and that is certainly a good thing. However, it can get really confusing and complicated because you do need to navigate the situation very carefully so you don't burn any bridges and you hopefully make the best decision for yourself at that time. So first, if you are given an offer, I just want to make sure that you understand that you should never accept a position and then decide, a couple days later when you get another offer that now you're going to accept this new offer and, take back that first acceptance of that job. So you never want to accept a job and then say, oh wait, never mind, I've received a better offer, I'm going to go somewhere else. That is very unprofessional. You're going to burn a lot of bridges, and I never suggest that you do that. So that said, there are some things that you should do to help kind of work through this situation. So first, if you are given an offer by an organization, of course, you want to thank them and let them know that you are interested in that opportunity. But then I would ask them about their timeline. Find out when they need to know whether or not you're going to accept or reject the position. That timeline will help you figure out, of course, how much time you have to make that decision and what you need to do regarding the other possible positions that are still kind of up in the air. The other thing that you want to do when you are given an offer is to make a list of all of the questions that you have that will help you make a well-informed decision. You also want to think about salary and benefits and if you are going to want to negotiate at all. So those are all things that you'll want to do when you're given an offer as you are evaluating that offer and preparing to either accept or reject, no matter whether you have other opportunities, potential opportunities or not. So once you know the timeline, then you need to think about when your other interviews are, kind of what the status of your other applications are, and things like that. And it is a good idea to contact the other people that you've applied with, let them know that you have an offer, and figure out their timeline. So are you going to be able to interview, and are they going to be able to get back to you regarding whether or not they want to make you an offer before you need to make that decision with the other company? And if the answer is no, then you need to figure out if you want to take yourself out of the running as a candidate for that other position. So for example, if you need to tell the original company that gave you the offer whether or not you're going to accept or reject their offer by Friday, and your interview with another company is not until Monday, then you definitely have a decision to make. So in that case, in any case, I recommend making a pros and cons list related to that offer that you received. What are the positives? What are the negatives? And overall, just how are you feeling about that offer? Also, hopefully, before that deadline of, again, if we use the example of Friday, you've been able to go in, ask all of the questions that you have regarding the position in the organization to get some clarification, and also potentially negotiate salary if that's something that you feel that you would like to do. And so you want to put all of those things into place and make sure that those occur before you're actually making that decision on whether or not to accept or reject. Now, if you do have other potential opportunities coming up after that deadline of when you need to tell that original organization, like I said, you have a decision to make, and that can be a very tough decision because you can't predict the future and you have no idea whether or not you're going to end up getting other offers or not. And so that can make it extremely tough, and that's where that pros and cons list can come into play and be very helpful. And also, you may learn some valuable information when you go in and ask your questions and get those answers, and also potentially negotiate salary that impacts whether or not you want to accept or reject that offer. So, if you decide that you do want to accept the offer, then you want to do a couple of things. One, you want to let the organization know verbally, but also in writing. So send them a formal email accepting the position. And then you also want to let all the other organizations know that you've applied with that you are now taking yourself out of the running as a candidate for any of their positions, because at that point your job search is over. You have accepted a position. You don't want to go back and say, oh, never mind, like I said earlier. You've made your decision, and that's the position that you will be taking. So you need to contact all the other companies and take yourself out as a candidate for any other positions. If you, however, decide that you are going to wait and see how the other opportunities pan out, you could do a couple of things. One, you can go back to the company and tell them, I am really excited about this opportunity. I'm still very interested in this organization, but I want to let you know that I do have some other interviews coming up. Is there any way at all that we could extend the deadline on when I need to get back to you so I can make a well-informed decision and do what's going to be best? And they may say, yes, we can extend the deadline. You can get back to us, by this date. But they may say, no, unfortunately, we have to know by, again, say Friday. And if that happens, at least you've tried. But there is a possibility that if they are really interested in you, that they are willing to wait. And so it doesn't hurt to ask for an extension on that deadline if you know that you have another interview coming up and they have told you, the other company has told you that they are going to make a decision by a certain date. Then that gives you the opportunity to go ahead and go through with that other process to see if you get another offer. And then if you do, of course, that's another situation that you have to deal with. And that's really just, deciding which is the best offer for you. And again, that's where the pros and cons lists can be helpful, getting all of your questions answered, and also potentially negotiating salary. All of those things can be really beneficial in making that decision. So, overall, I think that the best thing to keep in mind is, one, try to be strategic with this process. You don't want to make, hasty decisions. You want to really think things through. You want to ask important questions to make well-informed decisions. You want to work with the organizations to let them know that you are interested, but you just, need some time to kind of go through various processes to make well-informed decisions. And most companies are going to appreciate that. Most companies deal with this sort of thing regularly, so it's not going to be a surprise to them typically that you have applied for other opportunities, that you do have other interviews and or other offers. And so just communicating well and professionally is going to be so important. If you decide that you are not going to accept an offer that's been presented to you, then you need to decline that offer professionally as well. And so, of course, you can do that, in person or over the phone, but then you also want to send a formal written email that says, thank you so much for this opportunity. Unfortunately, at this time, I am not going to accept this offer. But you don't want to break any bridges, because you never know. There may be a great opportunity there in 3 years that is the perfect fit for you, and it may be a good time to move into that role within that organization. So you want to keep the door open for future opportunities. So just politely decline the offer, professionally decline the offer. And again, most organizations are going to greatly appreciate that. And then again, you won't have broken any bridges for potential future opportunities. So that's those are a few tips, on how to kind of navigate that situation if you have a job offer or multiple offers and you have other interviews or opportunities still in the works. If you have any other questions that I might be able to help with, you can always email me at erin@careeradvantageresumes.com, or check out my websites, which are careeradvantageresumes.com and careeradvantagegolf.com. You can also follow me on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I'm on @careeradvantageresumes, and on Twitter, it's Advantage Career. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope those were some valuable tips, and we hope to see you next week.